Steve Barker has officially been announced as the new head coach of Simba SC, the Tanzanian club, ending weeks of speculation surrounding the club's technical leadership. The experienced South African tactician takes charge following Simba's search for stability after recent changes on the bench. Barker arrives with a strong reputation built on his work in the South African Premiership. To talk more about this, we are joined by FARPost Editor Mthokozisi Dube. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. I mean, if you just look at all the headlines, Mthokozisi, it's a shock move, he jumped ships, a surprise move, and yet we're saying that it ended weeks of speculation. So what was it? Was it a surprise, or were we, did we have an idea that this was coming?
It was a surprise because Steve Barker has been at Stellenbosch since 2017. He's currently the longest-serving coach in the Betway Premiership. So you got the sense that there is that stability at Stellenbosch. Of course, they've not started off very well. Currently sitting in 14th place. They've only won 3 games out of 16 games. So it comes as a shock, honestly, because they're not known as a club that changes coaches quite a lot. So, but a very interesting move nonetheless.
I mean, Simba SC, they're a very ambitious club. We've had Fadlu Davids there, we've had Trot Moloto there. They clearly like something about the South African style of coaching. We know that Steve is obviously extremely experienced. They call him a master tactician, but he's also got licenses with CAF and UEFA. What are they looking to achieve with him, do you think?
He's got a huge task. For the last 4 seasons, they've not been able to win the league. Young Africans has dominated the Tanzanian Premier League. And the rivalry there is so intense. They obviously want to get back to winning the league title. That's the first thing. There was that demand on Fadlu Davids last season, finished second. They also want to compete in the CAF Champions League because they've not started very well in the group stages. They've played 2 games so far, and they've lost those 2 games. So they're at the bottom of their group. So they need Steve to come in and get them, winning games in the CAF Champions League and progressing to the knockout phase of the competition. So I think those are the 2 major tasks that he has as he joins Simba.
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see South African players plying their trade, abroad and on the continent as well. We forget that coaches want to do that. Rulani Mokoena has done well. And as you just mentioned, Fadlu Davids as well. When you chat to coaches, is this often a desire, or is South Africa still the continental hope apart from North African clubs?
Look, when you speak to South African coaches, obviously because of the things that someone like Coach Pitso Mosimane would have achieved, I mean, winning 2 CAF Champions League titles with Al Ahly, I think there is that appetite to go out and just explore the African continent and see how it looks like. At some point, Simba were speaking to Steve Komphela, but obviously didn't agree terms with him. I think we've seen even footballers going down to Tanzania. At Simba, Steve Barker is going to be with Neo Maema and Rushin Deruk. We've seen Mahlatsi Makudubela at Young Africans as well. So it's quite interesting just to see these coaches and footballers going into the continent.
Yeah, I did read that he was taking 4 assistants with him. Do we have any confirmation? You just mentioned now, but I mean, do we have confirmation of that?
Look, what usually happens with Simba is that when they bring in a coach, they would allow him to bring his backroom staff.
Yeah.
So he definitely will bring his own staff. I mean, Fadlu Davids, he had people like Wayne Sandilands in his technical team. So he obviously would go for most like an all South African technical bench, and then maybe get 1 or 2 people that he can work with who can help him understand the local culture who are Tanzanians. Because I think there's always that some language barrier of sorts, obviously, of the dominance of Swahili in Tanzania. So you need someone who's local who can also just help you, be that bridge between you and the players. Okay,
and then before I let you go, so who are we suspecting is going to replace him? Is Gavin Hunt the man?
Look, they would obviously want to go for experience, and he's available. He recently left Durban City, and Gavin Hunt is the most experienced coach in this league. He's someone that can actually come in and stabilize the ship. So I get the sense they could be going for someone like him.
Okay, and then since I have you on the line and we have AFCON starting, give us some predictions. What are you excited about? Are you going to be traveling at all? Let us know quickly before I let you go.
Absolutely. Going to be in Morocco until the end of the tournament, and my prediction is that Bafana will go further than they did last time, semi-final. I see them getting to the final.
You see them getting to the final. Listen, my director just told me that I have 2 minutes. That's a dangerous thing to do to a sports anchor because I do have a lot of questions to ask you. But I was very interested because I don't see many people talking about it. And since we are getting ready for AFCON, Hugo Broos coming back, perhaps a little bit saddened by many people questioning his responses. Talking about AFCON, I think it's quite great that the little bit of bad PR has turned into good PR and that many people internationally are also talking about this tournament. What did you make of that situation, Mthokozisi?
Yeah, look, you also hear the captain saying, camp has been a bit different this time around. And I think sometimes it's a good test for the players. We're not in the best space, but can we pick ourselves and get into this tournament and just focus and get results? So I do think they have that in them. I think I saw it last time in Ivory Coast. Not the best of stats, but after that game, you spoke to the players and they said, look, we've not started off very well, but we're going to pick ourselves up and we'll do very well. I expect them to do the same even with this situation, to say, yes, we've not had the best of pre-tournament preparations, but we're going to, win the first game and build on that momentum.
Always good chatting to you, Mthokozisi. Thank you so much for making time to come and speak to us on Morning Live. FARPost Editor Mthokozisi Dube talking to us about primarily Steve Barker's transition and movement to the Tanzanian Giants, Simba SC, saying that that is the next progression in his career. Many South African coaches, well, a few South African coaches have been there as well. Then we chatted briefly about AFCON. Hugo Broos's start wasn't the best, a little bit shaky there with the comments around Mbokazi, but it gets off in earnest tomorrow, and we are very excited with South Africa taking on their first match on Monday, the 22nd of December.